Happy Sabbath day and welcome to Sylviahshares here today. Are you by any chance part of those who are stealing from God? How, you may ask? Well, in Malachi chapter 3 verse 6, I will start from verse 6. Robbing God. I, the Lord, do not change, so you, O descendants of Jacob, are not destroyed. Ever since the time of your forefathers, you have turned away from my decrees and have not kept them. Return to me, and I will return to you, says the Lord Almighty. But you ask, how are we to return? Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you ask, how do we rob you? In tithes and offerings, you are under a curse, the whole nation of you, because you are robbing me. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have room enough for it. I will prevent pests from devouring your crops, and the vines in your fields will not cast their fruit, says the Lord Almighty. Then all nations will call you blessed, for yours will be a delightful land, says the Lord Almighty. You have said harsh things against me, says the Lord. Yet you ask, what have we said against you, Lord? You have said, it is futile to serve God. What did we gain by carrying out his requirements and going about like mourners before the Lord Almighty? But now we call the arrogant blessed. Certainly, the evildoers prosper, and even those who challenge God escape. Then those who feared the Lord talked with each other, and the Lord listened and heard. A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. They will be mine, says the Lord Almighty, in the day when I make my treasured possession. I will spare them just as in compassion a man spares his son who serves him. And you will again see the distinction between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve God and those who do not. Probably some of you may be wondering, what are tithes? What are offerings? Probably you do not know, go to church, and you have no idea what this is. So in Leviticus chapter 27 verse 30 says, a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord. If a man redeems any of his tithe, he must add a fifth of the value to it. The entire tithe of herd and flock, every 10th animal that passes under the shepherd's rod, will be holy to the Lord. He must not pick out the good from the bad or make any substitution. If he does make a substitution, both the animal and its substitute become holy and cannot be redeemed. These are the commands the Lord gave Moses on Mount Sinai for the Israelites. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 9 says, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves. As a father, the son he delights in. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 5 to 6. But you shall seek the place that the Lord your God will choose out of all your tribes to put his name and make his habitation there. There you shall go, and there you shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes and the contributions that you present, your vow offerings, your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herd of your flocks. Some more on understanding what tithing is, or what tithes are. So Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 28 to 29 says, at the end of every 3 years, you shall bring out all the tithe of your produce in the same year and lay it up within your towns. And the Levite, because he has no portion or inheritance with you, and the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, who are within your towns, shall come and eat and be filled, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands that you do. Second Chronicles chapter 31, verse 4 to 5 says, and he commanded the people who lived in Jerusalem to give the portion due to the priests and the Levites, that they might give themselves to the law of the Lord. As soon as the command was spread abroad, the people of Israel gave in abundance the first fruits of grain, wine, oil, honey, and all the produce of the field, and they brought in abundantly the tithe of everything. Nehemiah chapter 10, verse 35 to 37. We obligate ourselves to bring the first fruits of our ground and the first fruits of all fruit of every tree, year by year, to the house of the Lord, also to bring to the house of our God, to the priests who minister in the house of our God, the firstborn of our sons and of our cattle, as it is written in the law, and the firstborn of our herds and of our flocks, and to bring the first of our dough and our contributions, the first of every tree, the vine and the oil, to the priests, to the chambers of the house of our God, and to bring to the Levites the tithe from our ground, for it is the Levites who collect the tithes in all our towns where we labor. This is what Jesus wanted to tell us about tithing and giving. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 1 to 4, beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, when you give to the needy, sound no trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogue and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly, I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. But Jesus also reminds us, not because we are paying our tithes and offering, that we should get lost and forget to do the good on the planet or on earth or something to other people. So in Matthew chapter 23, verse 23 says, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. This you ought to have done without neglecting the others. Also in Luke chapter 11, verse 42, but woe to you, Pharisees, for you tithe mint and rue and every herb, and neglect justice and the love of God. This you ought to have done without neglecting the others. To further this, he gave a parable in Luke chapter 18, verse 9 to 14. says, he also told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and treated others with contempt. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, prayed thus, God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week, I give tithes of all that I get. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even lift up his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified, rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. This is the best example of the giver that Jesus gave in Mark chapter 12, verse 41 to 44. And he sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the offering box. Many rich people put in large sums, and a poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which make a penny. And he called his disciples to him and said to them, Truly, I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. Well, so when you are having everything that you do have, you ask yourself like, well, how am I supposed to give? You are just meant to just take the 10th into the church of your choice, where it is in the house of God, and that's how the money will be taken care of. It is blessed on by God. Your blessings are going to be bountiful and plenty. And sometimes you're telling yourself like, well, do I have to? Well, at the same time, if you are breathing, you are having good health, you are fine, in a split of a second, he is the only one who can end up deciding like you continue having the life or not. But either way, so let us learn how to give and return to God, but at the same time continue to do good as Jesus said. And when we give, let us not show it off to people. Let us not have to tell the world like, oh, I gave this person, or see, I have already given this poor person, or something of the sort. Let it be in secret so that we can get the blessings that we deserve. So now I hope that you understand how we have all been stealing from God. So if you haven't been taking your tithes and offering to the church, that's how you have been stealing from God. But it's never too late. So God is merciful, and his mercies are new every morning. So if you just begin even from now, what you earn, and you put in the 10th, you will receive the blessings along with it, and just accept Jesus in your heart. So until next time, thank you for listening. Live, love, and learn.